Welcome today. Welcome to today's edition of my Liberation Gospel BIAFRA. What Africa will benefit. And we've been talking about BIAFRA and what's happening in Nigeria and the essence of BIAFRA, why it has become a recurring decimal. The emergence of a country that is going to be a boom around the world, and many other things. But what will Africa benefit from the Republic of Biafra? What will the African continent, like I said previously in my Liberation Gospel and some of my talks in different places I've attended to talk about this. Biafra means a lot. It means a lot to the people that are championing the cause. It means a lot to Nigerians, even those who are against it. You know, it signifies many things. But despite the fact that many have posited against it, especially those who have read inside their hearts, they know what it stands for. But what will Africa benefit from the Republic of Biafra? First, I have to give briefly talk about Africa, then I'll go on. Many of us may not be aware that Africa covers 6% of the Earth's surface. I mean, if you can get it's sold in the market. I mean, the globe, the Earth shaped globe. You can take a look around it or measure it. Some of you are geographers, statisticians, historians. You can tell us more. Africa covers 6% of the Earth's surface area and 20.4% of its land mass. I mean, Africa covers 20.4% of the land mass on this earth. Many of us doesn't know that. This is why I said let me give briefly this point before I continue. Then what's the population of Africa in the global count? Africa contributes 1.2 billion as of last year. This is from statistics from the world. I think the global statistics count as in 1.2 billion of its contributions to the global count. That was last year's data, 2016. So, and Africa has 54 sovereign states, 54 countries. Many people in this part of the world don't know more about Africa, but we thank God with the emergence of the social media and the globalization. The globalization is teaching us a lot about, because it's very important that you know what's happening on the other border. You know what's happening on the other frontier, because humanity is one despite our differences. So it's important we know these points, because these points many people in this part of the world they think Africa is a country. Africa is 54 sovereign states that is recognized by the United Nations. If we are doing, but in the course of my talk you will get to understand more. 54 sovereign states. I mean, they have the sovereignty to control their destiny, to make policies for themselves. Nobody makes policies on their behalf except new colonialism. If you studied government, you understand what I mean by new colonialism. We will still come to that briefly. So 54 countries, 9 territories. 9 territories. If you look at the map, if you get a geographical map, you see that in those days, because borders have always changed, you will see some islands, territories that are controlled by certain countries that they are found in other continents. After all, these 54 countries, most of them were under one form of colonization or the other. So 54 countries, 9 territories, 2 de facto independent states, but they have limited powers. So Africa consists of 54 countries, 9 territories, 2 de facto independent, 2 de facto states. I mean, not independent, because they have limited or some form of control. So with that, now we go into Africa. How did Africa come to shape today? There's something many of you who studied history or government or politics or general studies, or if you're a voracious reader, you may have come to terms with the Berlin Conference. With the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885. It was organized in Berlin at the behest, request of the King of Belgium, King Leopold. Yeah, King Leopold called his fellow European powers, or his fellow European leaders, and because they were rushing, they were amassing foreign lands and territories, in their greed to control raw materials. I know there were a lot of conflicts in this part of the world, so they were looking for overseas territories to tap their resources, to create markets and things like that. So these and many other factors, that was why he organized, at his request, the Berlin Conference in Berlin. It was hosted by Otto von Bismarck. In Germany then. But the initiator was King Leopold of Belgium. And that was where Africa was partitioned. Because before colonial times, Africa consisted of more than 10,000 political groups. I mean, there are empires, there are clans, independent clans. For instance, if you come to where I come from, the today's southeast of Nigeria, if you studied social studies, or they will tell you about the fact that the Igbos are Cephalous people, they are Republicans, and when the British came, they introduced what they call the indirect rule, because they couldn't control the Igbos, because the Igbos they had a political structure whereby towns are independent from another, but they know how to communicate each other. They had their own political setup. Everything was moving. So unlike the rest of Nigeria, whereby, for instance, the Fulani conquered the Hausas, and the British, in their attempt to gain that territory, they fought the Fulani. There was the Fulani War with the British in the early 20th century, 1900 to 1902, and they conquered the Fulanis, and in turn they conquered the Hausas. The British too invaded Lagos and took control of Lagos. I think it was in 1861 or so, and dethroned the Oba of Lagos as at then, that was Kosoko, and put in their own man, Dosumu. And the same, you remember I talked about the Oba of Varawan in Benin. They removed him, sent him exile. And, all these things happened after, most of these actions happened after the Berlin Conference, because that Berlin Conference gave them now the authority, documents, because they were clashing with themselves, and they went to Berlin and now presented documents. Some of them were forged documents purporting that they have authority from the natives to control them or to administer them so that they will not clash among themselves. You saw what they did. So in turn, with that, they laid groundwork for future African continent. That is why, there has been conflict in many African countries today, because the borders were drawn by foreigners. You see, especially where the British were in charge, they placed power or authority on the minorities against the majority. They will be using one group to clash with the others so that there will be conflict and they will be easy to manipulate. So these things was finally brought to what is today's Nigeria. You can see in Nigeria a country that consists of more than 300 groups, and it's the same with many African countries. That's why there cannot be peace. There's struggle for resources. In many occasions, there's not been good leadership, and at a time, at the earliest time when African countries were being decolonized, many Africans traveled abroad, studied the in the Western form, came back home and tried to fix things in a way to benefit their people, but it didn't work. The Western nations came up to undermine them. That was why, the first, in the first generation after independence, there were a wave of coup plots everywhere. Most of these coups were sponsored by Western countries, because the nationalists, those we regard as nationalists, who took over most of these newly independent African states and who chased away colonists, they were removed, because many of them were educated. They cannot tolerate being under European nations, what we later devised as neo-colonialism. So they were a wave of sponsored coup against them. I can name them. From Congo, you see Patrice Lumumba. You saw it, the pictures, the internet is now out. We are now seeing what is happening in videos, in pictures, things that have been hidden from mankind. We are now getting to be privy to this information. You see, that is the problem of Congo up to today, that the young man, Patrice Lumumba, was killed in broad daylight. A prime minister of a country was hounded. They had to use a Congolese too, Mobutu Sese Seko and Kasavubu, and I don't want to go into that. Congo, Patrice Lumumba. You saw how Ghana that got independence in 1957. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah was removed because Osagyefo was thinking of independence in every African country, and he was even helping many nationalist movements to fight for independence. I remember reading Zig's book, Renaissance Africa, when he was an editor in the Gold Coast, and Osagyefo came to his office. He inspired Osagyefo. Osagyefo later traveled abroad for education, and finally, because of the way Nigeria is, Osagyefo had to leave Ghana. You know what happened to Nnamdi Azikiwe, but Osagyefo was later removed from power. And the same across many African countries. It happens so. But my topic today is Biafra, what Africa will gain. So Biafra has existed, many of you may not be aware. Africa, if you check the border of Africa on the Bonny front, because most of the slaves today in the Americas or outside Africa, many of them came from what is today's Biafra. And that's shore of the Atlantic Ocean, because Africa is bordered on the west by the Atlantic Ocean. And that Atlantic Ocean, that is why they say the transatlantic trade, because most of the slaves that are in America, in Jamaica, in Brazil, you know, most of even in the South America, most of them came from the territories of that is today the Biafran region. Forget about the fact that Nigeria changed the name of that part of the Atlantic Ocean to Bight of Bonny. It is originally Bight of Biafra. And Biafra, that name Biafra supersedes Nigeria. It was popular before. Nigeria is a name coined by Lord Lugard and his girlfriend, the BBC journalist, when they ran a show, sort of a quiz on what to name the territories, the new British territories of the people living around the River Niger. So they had to name it Niger area. You know, we call it Nigeria, and all this is. I don't want to delve into that. But what will Africa benefit from Biafra? You know, because we are talking about Biafra. Biafra is not just an idealist form. I've always said it. It's not a matter of ideological concept or thing. This is a new nation that is about to rise and do the unthinkable. But first of all, to restore the dignity of Africans. There was something that Mandela said when he was alive, because many Africans have always looked up to Nigeria. Let us not take that away from Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, and this is why you see many European companies, the British and co, they've always pride themselves as fixing Nigeria, because Nigeria has the biggest market. You know what it means? Because ab initio, originally, the importance of us to the British and co is the market. It's the market where they can sell their manufactured goods. And up to today, it's unfortunate that we have continued to live to that ideal they prepared us. It's just that most African countries, if you go to South Africa, it's still the same. You learn about the Boers, they are Afrikaners, even the British that came later on. It's all about the market, organizing the people, manufacturing things, exploiting their resources, exploiting their labor, and stuff like that. After the Second World War, you know, many Africans started gaining, many African colonies started gaining independence. And we found ourselves in Nigeria. But lest I forget, Mandela talked about what the average African, you know, hopes in Nigeria. That Nigeria is a big brother. If Nigeria is fixed, that Africa will go a long way to be fixed. And that is true, because they said that in every 4 or 5 person, 2 is a Nigerian. Because Nigeria has the population, and you see different people. Wherever you come from in Africa, if you get to Nigeria, you will see a particular group that looks like you. So that's one of the things. But unfortunately, the leadership has not been okay. Coming at the back of colonization, the British handed over power to the Fulanese minority that migrated from Guinea into, but because of the fact that they can easily use them to subjugate the rest of the population, they handed them power. And when they left, the people they handed over power couldn't run affairs very well. And nature will always bring up those who are more prepared, those who are better. It's just like when we say that things. I mean, when you are prepared for something, you will always emerge to do it better. Just like if you read for exams, you will pass your exams. If you prepare for something, you will do that. And during the colonialism, I mean, the British was there. They weren't happy, but those who were educated, those who were prepared, chased them out of the country. But they had to leave certain institutions in order to begin while they are away. And they handed over power to the Fulanese. The Fulanese continued. They couldn't run the system very well. And before you know it, other people, the Southerners are more educated than Northerners. And the Southerners were everywhere, particularly those in the Southeast, because in the Southeast, the Irish came and built schools. They brought their missionary activities, built schools. And those schools, one thing about the Igbos want to do things on their own. They believe they can always do things better, and they learn very fast. They had to go into education. So those things now put them at top after the exit of the British. And you know what? Jealousy and struggle came up, and then the rest of Nigeria didn't understand the mentality of the people they were dealing with. War broke up against Igbos and their brothers that were from neighboring nations, that formed Biafra. And Britain had to come in, sponsored the war against the Biafra, because they believed that the Biafra will not allow them to be in control. And you can imagine, during that war, the Biafrans sustained themselves, sustained the war. The war effort was indigenous. They had to manufacture their own guns. They had to manufacture their armored tanks. They had to build everything. It is on record that this is the only part of the world while there's war, there was no fuel scarcity. They had to refine oil from source and all those things. So I don't need to talk much about it. But what will Africa benefit from the emergence of Biafra? Because it's not all about having Biafra for the sake of, no. We are not talking about Biafra for the sake of, we just want another country that will just go and sit in the United Nations or in the African Union chamber, just sleeping or not. We want to be a team player. We want to show what Africa can do. When you talk about, I talked about what Mandela thought about Nigeria. If Nigeria is okay, Africa will go to a great extent being okay. And that is what Biafra want to do. Because one, we believe that Africa has what it takes, good at it. The emergence of Obama, though Obama fucked up in one way or the other, but the emergence of Obama has gone further to shatter an age-long illusion from the West. That psychological age that Africans cannot do anything. Obama was America's president. We cannot remove that. Whatever they want, even I have issues with some of his policies, but we can't take that fact away from him that he shattered that myth that Africans cannot lead. For him to rise to lead the greatest nation today, it shows a great deal that Africans can do many things. And this is where the Republic of Biafra is coming out. We want to talk about industrialization, because this is one thing that we are good in. we want to show what we are good in. We want to inspire our African brothers, because it's very important that we start laying bare what our plans are, what our vision are, what our aims and objective. Because a Republic of Biafra will be the hub of industrialization. It will inspire Africa. We are not against anybody. We want to be a team player in the Committee of Nations. We can even be members of the Commonwealth belonging to organizations. Is okay, as long as it is healthy, it is on mutual respect. We believe in free market policy. I mean, free market principle. We are traders and merchandise ourselves. We believe in all these things, and we believe in the dignity of labor and the sanctity of human life. So these things will help a lot, you know, in for the world, you know, to begin to understand who we are. But first, I want to talk about our contributions in Africa. On another day, I'll look at the international community. Africa has suffered a lot. I don't need to say that much. You and I know that Africa has suffered a lot. I've written some poems, you know, that talks about our sufferings. Is it the fact that even while in our own homeland we are suffering, let alone what we are seeing beyond our shores? I've talked about how our nationalists, most of our nationalists, were just booted out of power, and neo-colonialists were planted on us to continue for the form of colonization against us. It's happening today, because you see what's happening in our various countries, particularly in Nigeria, because when the military gangs started sweeping across African countries, most of them were inspired by Western nations, Western powers. They were giving arms to intimidate people, to remove those who were more educated, who will give us confidence, give us courage, teach us how to hold ourselves in high esteem. Instead, it brought non-entities and charlatans as our leaders. Charlatans like Mobutu Sese Seko, you can see. It brought military guys. You can see in Nigeria, a Buhari will go to London and spend more than 100 days treating himself. Automatically, it goes a long way to say that the hospitals in Nigeria can go to hell, that Nigeria doesn't have good doctors, that there's no need hoping in our health sector. So these things are what the Republic of Biafra want to correct, because our people are into manufacturing. Our people want to do the unthinkable. We want to do these things because they are doable. There's no need running. We are human beings. I've always said it, that God created us in his own image. Only that gives us the audacity and the authority to do things that can be done by God. The only thing we cannot do is to give life. Every other thing we can do that, because God gives us the dominion over this earth. So anybody who is saying that Africans cannot do that, we thank God that that myth has been shattered by various things that's happening. I've just given an instance with an Obama. Imagine as the president of America. It's in as much as that Obama failed me as a person. There was a book even before Obama became president. Few of my friends know about that. I had, my spirit knew that this guy is going very far. I wrote a book and dedicated it to this guy before he became president. Even some of my friends saw the book, and the book is some of my book I have even forgotten the title. In the Jungles of Europe. If you have a copy of the book, look at the dedication page. I dedicated it to Obama and his wife. Then he wasn't even president, but When I listened to his speech, that was in 2004 at the John Kerry elections, because right from my time from 4 years, I have been following global affairs, reading newspapers, reading books, following trend of things. So, and I have a very strong spirit. When my God tells me something, it happens. So I told my friends, look, this guy is going very far. He's inspiring people. I see him getting to the top of the world, and he did that. And that's one thing we are happy about Obama, that he helped to shatter particular myths that Africa cannot do something. And some people are so angry that they want to erase everything about Obama. Fine and good. I have issues with some of his policies, but that is by the way. So a Republic of Biafra would be a reincarnation of Africa. Industrialization. We can do everything. First of all, we will feed ourselves and inspire our brothers. We take Africans as our brothers and sisters, and we want to treat Africans as our kids and kin. We want African countries to be okay. We want them to pride themselves. The first created man on earth is black. Is an African. It's only an African that can begot a white person. A white person cannot beget an African. No. You can imagine, you as a black woman, if you have intercourse with a white guy and bear a child, you see, that's why you have mulatto or half caste, whatever. Because it is in Africa that we have the cradle of civilization. Everything that has been done, that is going on in this world, has its base in Africa. And that's why finally the Bible said that the first shall be the last. That the rejected stone will turn the cornerstone, because we are coming to that. And this is what the Republic of Biafra is going to give to the wider world, particularly Africa. Industrialization. If you come to many parts of Biafra land, what we call today the southeast and part of south, you see that virtually everything is being done, but they are trying all their best to bring down some of these inventions. Before the new wave of car manufacturing came on, there was this man called Ezekiel Izog, engineer Ezekiel Izog. He manufactured a car. I was small then, but I never forget that my dad took me to Grasshopper Stadium to see that Z360. It was called Z360 by Ezekiel Izog. You can Google it. You see the man, he's getting old now. He's now a politician, because sometimes, when your idea doesn't come up, you can be frustrated, and frustration could lead you to some other thing. So before today, yes, in Nigeria today and in Biafra land, particularly in Nnewi, you have the Innocent manufacturing cars of. He manufactured the first Nigerian armored tank. He's manufactured different kinds of. You can Google these things. That is the sweetness of the internet. Internet affords us the opportunity to learn on our own, to see things on our own. Just car manufacturing is now on, but they don't want to invest in that. This is why we want a Republic of Biafra, because we will set up these plants everywhere and go across into countries of African brothers and sisters to assist them to. We are not stopping foreign cars to come in. No, we will not do that, because we believe in the principle of free markets. It is only a Republic of Biafra that will guarantee that, mutual understanding, mutual trust, mutual trade. You know, come in, we exchange ideas, because they've been talking about technology transfer. The Oyibo man no go transfer technology. We get all these ideas. It's just that no neo-colonists has been at the helm of affairs. They don't want us to get there, and by hook or by sinker, we'll get what we want, and we'll showcase what we can do. I'm talking of car manufacturing, buses and coaster buses, armored tanks, lorries. It's been done locally in my place. We have an established car manufacturer in Nnewi. I'm not even talking about those who are doing these things on individual basis. You can go to YouTube, you see guys doing these things on individual basis. Many of them did not even go to school. These are the talents that are embedded in us. You know, we never die, never say die. We will never. We have these things in us. I'm just talking about the automobile sector. What about other places? Google Aba. Some of you who are not from Nigeria, just Google Aba and learn what happens there. Aba and Nnewi, these are two industrial hubs. It looks as if they're not refined, but they are doing a lot. They are manufacturing, and these manufacturers are self-help efforts because they lack government funding. Governments run by the Fulanese has made sure that these people are starved of funds. Some people will say governors and these are no. Nigeria has a lot of money that if they invest in the manufacturing sector, it can create millions of jobs. But you know, we have devils in power, so they will not want to do that. And this is why we want a Republic of Biafra, whereby we will help our people, whereby the children of God will be very happy to live. You will not see somebody who is hungry. You will not assist the person. You will not see someone who has that talent to create. You will not give that person an enabling environment. We're talking about electricity. What does it take to do electricity? No, nothing. It's the issue of lack of electricity in Nigeria is becoming as if nothing can happen. It's now a rocket science that we now have to wait for the Holy Ghost to come down and fix electricity for us. No. Look at this part of the world we find ourselves. Solar. Many countries are not even using petrol or oil or diesel to fuel their electricity. They're using solar. Ingenuity. In the next 50, 100 years, if this world will not end, in fact, that generation will just look back on what we are doing and say, God. So look at this, what these people, because there will be innovation. There will be innovation every day. God created us in his own image that we can do a lot. If aircraft can be done, it's flying big bird. You know, remember in those days our ancestors call it the big bird. You know, if aircraft can fly from here to another country, what else that cannot be done? I schooled in Oka, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. I know a friend who his great-grandfather was a blacksmith. The guy does guns, gun, 1 round, 2 round. You know about Okamid. In Nigeria, we talk about Okamid. Most of the guns, you know, some armed robbers use that. 1 round, even cultists in Nigerian universities and tertiary institutions use that. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. If you get these people doing these things, instead of them to be assisted and be incorporated into the mainstream of things so that they can manufacture for the state will collect their taxes or incorporate them and make laws whereby they can be doing it for the states. You get them and shoot them. Revisit what happened during the Nigerian Biafra war. I mean, it was the war. Most activities of the Biafran forces, it was self-sustained. They had to change, they had to turn tractors to armored tanks. They had to turn passenger aircraft to bombers. You heard about the Ojukwu bucket. I said something like that one time in my broadcast. There's something that we normally do in the villages or in the rural areas. If somebody die, we call it mponala. Mponala. You shoot mponala. You know, you see if somebody dies, you see something like it's shots from the, I don't know how to describe it. You know, you can give someone 21 gun salute and stuff like that. If you light it, it will just rise, the fire will take it, and when it hits one, it will just explode. Boom! The next one, depending on how much you have or the status of the person in the society. Another, my brother, that thing, that's Mponala. If you add physics to that, it becomes this thing. They are making noise on the newspapers. You see the big one, the missile. North Korea just did their own. Many nations did their own. These things can be easily done. It can be done. Putting satellites in the orbit and all this, it is no big deal. We can do these things. Very, very simple. We can do that. I know it's not that simple, but we have the brains and the ingenuity to do that. So these are the things we can offer on behalf of Africa. And we help our continent to resurrect from hunger, to shake away the shackles of poverty. You know, because when there's production, when there's activities like this, when there's creations, you are empowering people. You create jobs. You create markets. When you can do this thing, is it to till the soil you cannot do? Mechanized farming is happening in Western countries. We can do these things in our place. Not just eating money, somebody taking money that is meant for 1 million people and sitting on it or burying it or abandoning it in an Ikoyi flat, and when it's discovered, no one agrees that it belongs to him. You see, wickedness in the name of leadership. So the Republic of Biafra will restore the dignity of Africa through inventions, through industrialization, through brotherliness, you know, because when you accept, they say success has brothers and sisters, but failure is an orphan. You see, in virtually every part of the world, the name Nigeria, it's like a stigma. If you drop your passport in airports, they will be looking at you. They could even pass every other person and tell you to wait behind. They want to talk to you. They want to know if the passport belongs to you. Just the mere mention of Nigeria is anatomic to many things. It's synonymous with fraud. It's synonymous with crime. Yes, if you let Nigeria, they will say, is it not the Igbos that are into drugs? Is it not the Yorubas that are into Yahoo? Is it not the Edos that are into prostitution? But because the leadership has not been there for the people, but because the leadership has not created an enabling environment for people to thrive, because the leadership is not interested in the welfare of the people, forgetting the fact that salus populi et suprema lex, that the welfare of the people remains the supreme law. People have to find a way to make ends meet. I mean, go to Nigeria. People are looting. If you get into government today, in the next 2-3 months, you will become 50 million or 100 million naira richer. Why wouldn't somebody get into drugs? Why wouldn't somebody get into prostitution to make ends meet? Why wouldn't somebody get into doing 419? But if the government restore the dignity for their people, dignity to hold their passport, dignity to restore, the confidence in being a citizen of that country, you see a lot of people are going to leave some of these vices. I'm not saying that nobody is going to commit crime, but things will because when you have majority of your citizenry young and industrious and ready to work, why won't you achieve things? I mean, for instance, Nigeria has a population of 180 million. My brother, if you are manufacturing pen, you'll be a millionaire. Whatever you are manufacturing, because the population is there. And if the population is empowered, you see why things work out well in the West here. Because they are empowered. I mean, their GDP is big enough. For instance, look at this country. I give instance with Ireland. Ireland is about 6 million. It's the population of even my state or 2 states in Nigeria. But virtually most members of the population, they are empowered. They have that purchasing power. They can go to the market and buy something. They can feed their family. They can sort themselves out. They have the cash to get into the shop and do shopping. So that's why you still see a country of few people, they are still okay. They manufacture, they have enough food to eat. Everybody's looking well. You see organizations will go as far as even helping those who are not sure of having 3 square meals. Can that happen in Nigeria? No. That is why we are talking about the Republic of Biafra, whereby we will sit down, because in Nigeria, some people doesn't want us to sit down. So let us leave that country for them. They should go. Those who want to be their slave can go with them. We go on our own and sit down. We disagree to agree. After everything, we'll say this is how we are going to run our system. Everybody must benefit. Whether you are Igbo, whether you are Ibibio, whether you are Efik, whether you are a Job, whether you are Asian, whether you are Bini, if you want to be part of us, everybody will be on the same pedestal. Everybody will be equal. And you now have enabling environment. And those who want to strive hard will now strive hard. That is why we believe in the free market principle. Because naturally, some people are hard workers, whereas other people are lazy. It's natural. Then you start looking at those who are handicapped, those that need to be assisted. Mechanisms will be set up to assist. And these are the things Biafra will offer to Africa. When African countries now look at the Republic of Biafra, they will say, look at this country that was established 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Look at what they are doing. They will be spoiled, because sometimes your friends can spoil you. I always tell people, jealousy is not a bad thing, but there's positive jealousy and there's negative jealousy. Positive jealousy will drive you. It will be a drive for you to succeed. When you look at your friends, man, my friend took 1st position, or I took 3rd position. God, this guy will not be better than me in the next. I want to earn more than him. I want to, you will read hard in order to score more than him in the next course. I remember when I was in primary school in Ebema, though I came from Aba, while I was in Aba, I wasn't I couldn't even see first to my highest position in Ataba was fourth. But I came to Eboma, I was taking first position because it was a rural place. Oba is more urban. So I came to Eboma. But there was a time I didn't take first position. And the class revolted that no, that they don't believe in the girl that took first position. But I decided that this girl will not beat me. Again, why should this girl beat me? So I decided to study more when exams came. Unfortunately, I went to the seminary. I couldn't even near the top. In fact, in the seminary, I was an average student, but factors contributed to that. Having said that, your friends can spur you to improve, or your neighbors, or your brothers, or your sisters. And that is what the Republic of Biafra is going to do for Africa. When African countries look at this new republic, they will see that, yes, these guys, this is why we, oh God, why didn't we support these guys for a very long time? I remember the issue, I read about it, the OAU, the peace treaties in Addis Ababa between Biafra and Nigeria, the Aburi Accord, though it didn't work for Biafra, but Africa tried a lot. And things, you know what happened, that the permanent secretaries, the same Fulani people came back and inspired others, and the British came and told them, look, don't allow these people to grow, because they know that the old Eastern and Midwestern region, they are the salt of that nation. If you remove them, the nation will be tasteless. And that is why, when you talk about Biafra, people will start shaking, they will start angry, they want to fight you, they will be saying bloodshed, we will kill you, we will do it. Why do you want to kill them? Why are you the para? Why are you shaking? You are shaking because if they are removed, Nigeria will be tasteless. That is why I'm saying the issue of Biafra is not a matter of ideology. It's just that we want progress. There's no progress in the country. And this is what we want to give to our African brothers and sisters. We want to showcase what it means to restore the dignity of a bastardized people, of a people that have been matched, of a people that their kids and kin have been sold into slavery, of the people that up to today they have quasi remained second-class citizens in global social stratification. That you will travel as an African, you will see yourself as an African, you'll be looked down. Even somebody, they haven't even tested what you can do. They will just look down on you. Or you just say, I'm a Nigerian. People say, God, Nigerians, okay. Things like that. We want to restore the dignity of being Africans. This is what Biafra. There are many things Biafra is going to do. I'm not saying it's going to be a bed of roses. No, nothing good comes easy. But what everyone among us agree, or majority among us agree, is that we want progress. And we know there are people who doesn't like progress. We know there are people who are greedy. We know there are people who are very selfish. They just want only them. They don't want every other person. Sorry, but we know how to handle those people. We know where to place them, because we have a culture of welcoming foreigners. Onyobia, our people have a culture of protecting non-indigenous. Have you ever heard where I come from, the southeast of Nigeria, that this person was killed or that person was killed? No, we don't do that. This is it's anti-Igbo worldview. And so it is with most nations in the south east and south, and even part of the north. But because we have people that that are being used to subjugate us, they are trying to change our culture. They are bringing greed. They are trying to enslave one another. I believe in the equality of people. I believe in free market principle. I believe that there should be enabling environment for everyone to thrive. That is my personal belief. And I was born and raised in the East. I'm a typical Igbo boy, so I don't know. All through my life, I've watched my people. I know what they believe in. Forget about their influences as a matter of certain factors. But the general Igbo view is progress. We want progress. We want hard work. And we want that dignity. So this is the thing that we are going to offer to Africa. Africa need to stand up for Biafra. We need African countries need to stand, because the issue of Biafra is going to do one thing, at least recreate the geographical boundary. I said it before. It was created in the Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885 by Western powers. So redrawing the map, it's not a crime. God did not join us together. We were joined together by the white man, and they joined us together for us to be their markets. But you know, life is all about change. The only thing that is inevitable in this world is change. That is why you can be poor today and become rich tomorrow. That is why you can be short today as a child and become tall tomorrow as an adult. That is why you can rise from grass to grace. That is why you can descend from grace to grass. So these are the things. You will see development around the world. The current recession humbled many Western countries. It humbled many Western countries. For instance, Great Britain. Great Britain today doesn't have that kind of powers it used to have. The only thing is that I get them before, not the property. It doesn't have that enormous power it used to have during the time of the Nigerian Civil War. They are struggling with themselves too. You see their development with Brexit. They've removed themselves from the European Union. Why? Because they've lost a lot of their powers. The European Union took a lot of their powers. And today they are clashing. Their policies are clashing. There's a psychological war between them and the European Union. And the recession did a lot of things. It humbled them. It made them, because my people say, when you are poor, when you don't have anything, it looks as if you don't have, not it looks as if you won't have a say. So many of them had to borrow. And during this recession, in global recession, many African countries posited progress. But unfortunately, you see Nigeria, Buhari came in and putting the country into recession because he doesn't know what to do, because he's daft, because he doesn't have the necessary economic policies to push the country forward. So we don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be afraid. I have said it. We can realize the Republic of Biafra. It wouldn't take anything. What we need to do is Nigeria coming together, deciding that, look, we have decided that we partition this country, or we'll let Biafra go. Because at a time, it will hold them on the truth. This battle is going to be fought by our God. It is not our own battle. We are just I'm doing what he asked me to do. So I'm not just doing this. You can be looking at me as you know me, is it not Olumo or Kachuko Code? Is it not this Africa World editor? I've even told my people in Africa World that, look, I'm an editor of Africa World. My personal thing is different from the newspaper. The newspaper is for everyone. But I have a covenant with my father. In Africa World, we have, in fact, the guy who is even assisting me is a Muslim. And we have people who doesn't even believe in God and things like that. No, but my own life is different. And I have my covenant with my God who is in heaven. And I believe in him. He works for me. He has asked me to prepare for certain things. And that's why I decided on this liberation gospel. A lot of people are in bondage in Nigeria. We need to wake them up. We need to deliver them. We need to liberate them for what is coming. Because something greater than you and me are coming. Because we are created in the image of God. We look like God. And he has prepared us that a new nation is about to emerge. And nothing can stop it. Nothing on earth can stop it. So it is not about anybody. It is not about anybody. You can do anything you want. You cannot stop it. You cannot stop it because it has come to stay. It's just gradually to the momentum. But you know, the ways of God are different. I don't even know what he has in stock. It is only him that knows how things are going to be shaped. We are not planning to fight anybody. We are not interested in killing anybody. We are not interested in bloodshed. In fact, we believe that the human life is sacrosanct. Not even, the Bible said that not even a hair here we can account for it. No, we are created by God. So nobody has monopoly of violence, or nobody has a right to take another person's life just freely without anything. So this is why we need to prepare. We need to help and spread this message. If you are listening to me, spread the message. It's not about listening to me. I want you to spread this message. Tag those who are yet to be liberated, those who think that we are not going anywhere. Tell them that a new nation is about to be born and nothing is going to stop it, and that is a nation that will restore the dignity of the African man, of the African woman, a nation that will manufacture what they say Africans cannot manufacture, a nation that will feed its people, that will show many people how to feed itself, a nation that will go beyond its frontier to feed other nations, a nation that will inspire people across the world, a nation that will stand tall to praise God, to cause invocations and praises to the Most High, a nation that will people look at and they will start believing in God again. Because this nation that is about to come, it can only be restored. But it is a promise. It is a promise to its people by their Father in heaven that, look, I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to do this for you. Because many of us are being doubted. How is this thing going to happen? When Moses was around, God called him and said, you are going to rescue my people from the land. I've heard their cry. I have heard their tears. I've heard their gnashing of teeth. Moses said, look at me, a stammerer. How will I go and face Pharaoh of all people? But he said, no. When the time comes, you see what's happened. He showed Moses sign. It was now the confidence started coming, you know, the confidence. And that is what I want you to have. Have that confidence that something great is about to come. Nothing is going to bring it down. We are not talking of killing people. We are not talking of shedding blood. We are not interested in shedding blood. But anybody who said that is going to annihilate us is going to be annihilated. Because our fight is going to be done by our Father. he is the one who is going to restore this, because in restoring the Republic of Biafra, we are giving him the glory. The glory belongs to him, nobody else, not even us, because the talent he has embedded in us, the gift is from him. That is why we wake up, he feeds us. Do you know about your tomorrow? Do you know if you're going to die tonight? But he knows about what is going to happen tomorrow. And that is why I'm preaching to you, that spread this message. Help me to spread message that people who doesn't believe should believe, because when the time comes, many of them will say, God, had I known. So this thing, they said, has finally come to pass. And that is what I'm telling my brothers, Africans, wherever you come from. I've said it before in the beginning of this message. Africa consists of 54 countries and territories and islands. You are going to see what is going to happen, because we have suffered a lot. We have been down. We have been victimized. We have been on the lower rung of the societal ladder. But it's not going to happen forever, because the first shall be the last. The rejected stone has always turned to be the cornerstone. You know, people forget that Africa is the cradle of civilization. Africa is the beginning of civilization. Africa will be the beginning and the end of mankind. I thank you for listening to me today. I want you to invite people to listen to this message. Spread the message, because more things are going to come. I don't know the direction this is going to take me, but it has just started. And nothing is going to, I fear nobody. So some of you who are writing to me, threatening, you are just wasting your time. If you know my history, you should know that, look, I'm prepared for death today. I can even die today. If I die, at least I've left legacies. I just had twins, if it is given back. So I have children to come up. But this struggle is about my father. But nothing is going to happen to me, because he has always protected me from the time when I was small. I should have died a long time when I was small, or even when I was in the university, where a lot of risk happens, let alone now that our promised land is in sight. Spread this message on our behalf, and thank you for listening to me. My name is Okachuku Okole.